Welcome to the Popular Podcast. My name is Philip. Let's jump right in with the mailbag. This first email comes from Pamela T. She writes, I have a little pet peeve that I'd like to share with you because I think you might relate to this. I'm bothered when actors don't squint enough when checking their phones right after waking up. If you look at a bright phone screen immediately after being asleep for hours, you'll wince, or at least noticeably narrow your eyes. Too often in film and TV, I see characters wake up to answer a late-night phone call, and they're able to look directly at their phone, which in my experience would be like looking directly into the sun. I know they closed their eyes right before action was called, but even a little squinting would go a long way. Pamela, I couldn't agree more. And in addition to this issue you raised regarding phone brightness, I'd like to add to that list of grievances some vocal issues that come up a lot with late-night calls. If you get a call in the middle of the night, when you pick up, I'm not going to buy a full-throated, hello? For me to stay in the scene with you, I need a subtle thickness at the back of the throat. Maybe a tiny bit of raspiness. Not like you're dying, though. Not, hello? But maybe more of a, hello? And let it ease from that hello to a normal tone. Even if you've just gotten shocking news and you have to sit up quickly and say, wait, what? Don't jump into a normal tone. You need to ramp that up. Here, I'll demonstrate the wrong way to do the ramp up. Hello? Wait, what? No, you were right to call. I'll be right there. Okay, bye. See, that guy has been awake all day. You can't hear the sleep in his eyes. Here's more of what I'm buying into. Hello? Wait, what? No, you were right to call. I'll be right there. Okay. Alright, bye. I know that's not perfect. I'm not an actor, but I do have a little experience with waking up and talking. I've been on an early 90s sci-fi kick, and here's something I was thinking about after watching a few movies, some of which hold up better than others. I've noticed I'm more sensitive to what it takes to be dropped into an unfamiliar story and be presented with the tools needed to play catch-up with the characters and the places. There's definitely an art to it, and I like when it's clear and patient but not too long-winded. I mean, do you remember how exciting it was the first time you saw the opening sequence of Sovereign Powder? The dynamism was enough to immediately engage you. As you'll recall, a convoy of moon buggies rides through a busy marketplace in the center of a lunar outpost. It's practically chaos, but we still get a good scope of the surroundings. No shot is wasted, and there's actual character development hiding in the action. The way the camera maneuvers through the crowd, the way Penny Entwistle stops the vase from falling over. You zoom down the square to Miss Stella on the phone, looking out her window, and she's intensely calm in the midst of the havoc. That tells us a lot about what she's like, as we simultaneously get our bearings in the space. And if you remember, this is our first intro to Jackalope, which is very slyly done. Disguising the visual and environmental vocabulary in an early sequence like this is really efficient and especially important, I think, in sci-fi. Like it or not, we're all always aging, so let's talk about it. It's time for going, but not quite gone. I talk about a lot of things on this podcast, and I'm going to get a little more personal in this one, so bear with me. One thing I've noticed about myself and my body as I've gotten older is that I really appreciate the taste of toffee now. I can remember a time not so long ago when I and my palate had little to no time for toffee. What is it? Burnt sap? No, me of the past, it's really not. It's sugar and butter, heated until it's ready to crack. With chocolate added, it's one of my favorite flavors. I used to think Keith bars were stupid. Now I like them a lot. When I bite through one, it's like I'm experiencing the taste of comfort or wisdom. I feel transported to a simpler time, or maybe a past life, where I was a woman named Beatrice or Hazel or something. Dear Diarrhea, on the second Saturday of every month, a local lake organization in our area hosts a lake cleanup. Sometimes I help the kayak crew that collects trash from the shoreline. Most of the trash accessible only by water can be found among thick reeds along the edge of the lake. The density of the reeds, along with the random logs and driftwood floating near the shore, makes it difficult to get near the trash. To get the harder to reach garbage, we're given little grabber arms that extend our reach 2 or 3 feet. Most of the items that I collect are bottles and cans that are still floating on the water. I'll collect them with my grabber and then add them to a black trash bag. Sometimes I'll poke a hole in the bottom of the bag so excess water that accidentally makes its way into the bag can drain. A lot of the bottles I find still have their lid on and also have some sort of liquid in them. I've developed a system to decide whether or not it's worth draining the liquid out of the closed bottles. Firstly, if the water is the same color as the lake, sort of a murky light brown, I'll go ahead and empty the bottle and add it to my bag. If the liquid has some green algae growing in it, I'll empty that too. It's usually just muddy water and algae. If the liquid is darker than the lake water and doesn't seem to have any chunks of mud in it, I won't empty that. I'm usually afraid it's been used as a spitting vessel for someone's chewing tobacco. This most recent day at the lake, I experienced a sort of shameful incident. I had just moved from one set of reeds to another to begin clearing out what I could. When I went for my grabber to collect a nearby bottle, I realized it was gone. It must have fallen out of the boat when I was making my way through some reeds. I tried to go back and look for it, but the grabbers don't float. In short, I littered the lake while trying to clean it up a bit. Without a grabber, collection was a little more difficult, but I got what I could, including a large section of a plastic bumper and one side of a blue milk crate. I headed back to the put-in point to drop off this round. The man helping boats in and out of the water gave me another grabber, one of the more worn-out ones since I couldn't be trusted. He told me I could look for the grabber he had dropped just down the shore, though it had been a couple of years since he lost that one. That made me feel a little better. I told him I owed them a new one, and he told me about a woman who adds a bit of pool noodle to hers to keep it floating. I like that idea. I went back out to fill another bag, being more careful to take my time. The only big piece of debris I collected was some sort of broken yellow plastic container or something. I don't know what it was. I also found a glass growler that was half full of liquid. I would have emptied it out because it was pretty heavy, but the cap was too rusted for me to open, so I added it to the bag as is. I also found a lot more bottles and cans, some sports balls, candy wrappers, plastic bags, and a shoe. I think I find a shoe every time I go out to the lake. They're always floating sole up, and the most suspenseful part of retrieving them is turning them over to make sure there isn't still a foot inside. Usually it's just mud clods that plop into the water when the shoe is pulled out. At one point, I almost lost my grabber again, but I was able to catch it before it sank out of sight. I'm excited about ordering a couple of new grabbers soon, and maybe some flotation devices for them. Thanks for listening, Diarrhea. Yours, Philip. Okay, before we go, it's time for another household tip. The weather is finally beginning to warm up a bit, but I still get a little chilly around the house sometimes. When this happens, keeping my feet warm goes a long way, so I like to put on a pair of house shoes. Now sometimes if I'm barefoot, I'll go straight for the house shoes, but that's a mistake. It doesn't take long before my feet start sweating inside the house shoes, and they begin to feel clammy and uncomfortable. I found it's necessary to always wear socks along with my house shoes to avoid foot sweat. Really, socks help prevent foot sweat in almost all types of shoes. Anyway, in case you missed it, here's the tip. Be sure to wear socks with your house shoes to prevent foot sweat. Okay, that's all for another pop filler. Thanks for listening, and remember, you'll be fine. Hello? Wait, what? No, you were right to call. I'll be right there. Okay, bye. I'm gonna have to go in. Let's try to go back to sleep. Do you think you can get Maddie and Bryce to school today? Okay, thank you. I owe you. I'll call you later. Hopefully it won't take all day to get this sorted out.